All right, for the second week in a row, I get to say this. I got the dub between the two of us. Last week, I did really well. I finished 11-5. This guy finished 8-8 for the week. Our totals are I'm 4 games above 500 at 18-14, and Papa Blood is 14-18, 4 games below 500. What an incredible start to this 2023-24 season for me. I can't even believe it's real. I'm happy to be here. Welcome back to It's in the Blood. I'm Alex. That's Papa Blood. And we're here for week 3.
Minus San Francisco and New York.
Okay. Well, those of you who know, we were not able to get this video out to you in time due to scheduling conflicts. We did both take San Francisco. We talked about that yesterday before the stream had taken off. But so we're gonna start our week 3 picks with our Sunday slate. San Francisco did win last night. Had a pretty big win. The Giants defense, kudos to you for proving that you can get to a quarterback, and you slowed Brock Purdy down for a half a football game.
Last night's game was going to show me that I learned one thing about San Francisco really quick, is that coaching and management, they know how to identify the players that are going to help their system, and they also don't keep players around just because they spent a bunch of picks on getting them. They cut them loose so that they have a chance for a career. So kudos to San Fran. Coaching and upper management, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Going to make it very difficult for anybody else to win the NFC.
Oh, absolutely. And, one takeaway is this wasn't as big of a loss for New York as they thought it would be, as everyone thought it would be. So kudos to them as well. It was actually a kind of fun game to watch. It wasn't the worst Thursday night game we've ever had. But with that being said, and get that all out of the way, let's start with a treacherous week 3. This week is every week seems to be harder than the next, and I felt like it should be getting easier by week 3, but this week's kind of chaotic, so I'm looking forward to talking about it a little bit. Do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. Going into the first 1:00 game on week 3, we have the 2-0 Atlanta Falcons at the 1-1 Detroit Lions.
This one's a game. Let's talk about it, man. Falcons 2-0, shocking the world right now. They looked better in week 2 than in week 1, that's for sure. Offensively, there were a few struggles, and the Lions lost, but not in a bad way. They lost in a total shootout to the Seahawks, which was a kind of weird game. The Seahawks have the Lions' number the last 5 or 6 meetings. The offense still looked great. For the most part, I think there was an interception, which is a rare occurrence for Jared Goff, but that the highlight of the Lions' talking point right now is their defense and some of the injuries and people they've lost, which is what is their concern going forward.
So looking at this game, I feel like I'm just going to say I've been big on Atlanta this year. I still have them winning that division. I still think the coaching's right on time. I think everything is going in the right direction. But I do think that they're going to take a little bit of a step back this week, regardless of how that Lions-Seahawks game turned out. Detroit played winning football at home. Geno Smith played very good football as the opposing road quarterback. And I don't think that Desmond Ridder can put forth that type of performance, but he does have the tools to win. I think the Lions win a close one in this. It's not going to be a blowout. Falcons are going to show well, but I'm going to take Detroit with the win.
Honestly, this could be one of the better games of the week. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to get to watch it while it's happening, but I will do my best to keep tabs on it. But my big thinking and why my pick is going the direction it is, Atlanta is a run-first team, similarly to Philadelphia, similarly to Baltimore, and Desmond Ridder hasn't proven himself as a strong passer yet. I think that's going to come over time. Why I'm leaning towards the Lions on this pick is if it comes down to a shootout, I want to take the team who can throw 400 yards a game over a run-first offense. I'm not saying that this defense isn't going to slow down the Detroit Lions offense. I think it will, but I don't think inevitably it's going to stop it. I think the biggest comparison right now in teams is how Tua and the Dolphins are playing. They can throw 400 yards a game and put up 40 points if they want to. And I think this Lions team, with a good defense or without, because last year proved this, that they can put up that many points if they need to. They'll go toe-to-toe in a shootout, win or lose. And so I'm going to take the Lions because if it comes to both teams having to abandon the run at any point, I think the Lions are favored in this one.
Good call.
I do think Atlanta still has a shot in this game. On to our next game. This is an interesting matchup for me, at least. I don't know about you, but we've got the Buffalo Bills coming off a massive rebound win last week, heading to Washington to take it on the 2-0 Commanders, who had a thriller last week also against the Broncos.
Another team that I have finishing pretty high was the Commanders this year, and I really like what they're doing. Buffalo got embarrassed in week 1. True. Honestly, that's an embarrassment for them to go in and lose to Zach Wilson and the Jets. They rebounded in week 2. Josh Allen played Josh Allen style football. And week 3, they go into Washington to play the Commanders, where Sam Howell is coming along very well in that offense, and the defense is starting to mesh. Chase Young got a sack and a half last week, I believe. It might be off by a tad, but I know he got at least one full sack. It's very interesting going forward, and I think that I took the Bills. I'm pretty sure that I did. I'm going to make sure. But I am going to take, as my first road win this week, Buffalo on the road in Washington.
And, there's certain things in life that I don't get right. And when it's going against Buffalo and for Washington, I usually don't. But I love both of these teams. Both of these teams looked good last week. The pass rush has been last week for Washington. It was what the last 2 years we wanted to see out of them. And Buffalo looked like a complete football team who learned how to run the football. And that's dangerous because that's really one of the key components they needed to work on, and they did. Both teams had a great win last week. This is going to be my first upset of the week. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders at home. They're living a good life since the removal of Dan Snyder. Do I think that they're going to win? I'm not super confident in it, but, I feel like they're one of those teams that, right now they think nobody cares about. And so they're playing just fun football. They feel like they've got nothing to lose. Give me the Commanders at home. I'm not going to re-explain myself because you weren't listening.
I was absolutely listening, and I think that karma is a good thing, and I think good vibes are with that team right now.
All right, on to the next.
With the next game, got a real tricky one. We got the Denver Broncos at the Miami Dolphins. And Alex, how do you feel about this one?
Bro, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Give me the Broncos to go 0-3 to start the season and let the Dolphins keep on rolling. Tua got touched for the first time last week against the New England defense, which I thought they'd get in his face a little bit more, but that offensive line just keeps proving themselves. And let's be honest, the Broncos offensive line gave up 6 sacks to the Commanders last week. They're moving in the right direction offensively and defensively, but nothing has slowed down the Dolphins yet. And if Bill Belichick can't, I don't care who's playing. Until someone shuts them down, I'm not going to pick against them. So give me the Dolphins at home to give the Broncos an 0-3 start to their season.
Straight up. The only thing, last week was about the first time I've seen Russell Wilson play decent football in Denver, and his defense let him down. The defense in Denver, if they play like that against Miami, Miami's going to put up 40. So
they're going to put up 50, bro.
Give me Tua and the float long ball at home against the Broncos. I'm with you there 100%.
Dude, I'm proudly, that's one of my proud picks. Now, does this turn out to be a close game? It could, because like you said, Russell Wilson's not been playing bad. His receivers are starting to mesh with him, and they're able to play a better game. But if Raheem Mostert comes out and runs on them like he did on New England, then they don't have a chance because they're going to score points and then milk the clock, and it's not going to matter. You can't come back from that. If the Broncos come out and put up 7 quick, then they have a chance in this one. But if Miami walks all over them even for a second, it's going to go downhill quick. And I like the Dolphins' chances at home a lot better than a road Broncos team.
With you 100%. Going in, headed into Duval County, we have the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, man, I was a little torn on this one. I'm not going to lie. Just because the AFC South divisional matchups are always the most unpredictable because you don't know which teams are truly going to show out. The Texans, they haven't had a good start to their season, but we knew they'd have a slow start, right? There have been good things to talk about. Their defense is getting better. Their run game, CJ Stroud's progressing a lot quicker than I gave him credit for. And then you look over at Jacksonville. They couldn't find the end zone last week, and I'm not mad about that because they played against my Chiefs, but they looked bad. They kind of got slapped in the mouth, and, they're looking for a huge rebound. They've got a lot of good offensive pieces that should be able to put up Miami numbers and yards. So I think they're supposed to rebound here. I'm going to take the Jags, and this is just a safe bet right here. But I like to think that the Texans are going to find a way to keep this game a little bit interesting.
I agree with that completely. Normally, at this time of the season, we're talking about Kansas City's offense. We're talking about their defense as being playing top-notch football right now. And that's a different conversation than normal. It's not that they're always capable, but usually the defense is suspect. They went into Jacksonville and played stellar defense. Chris Jones returning to that D really helped a bunch. And Jacksonville couldn't respond. Houston's defense is nowhere near that talented. Their offense is still young and learning. I like the Jags at home for a fairly big win. I don't want to say I wouldn't give them double-digit win, but I would suspect it's going to be really close.
I definitely like the Texans to try to keep this one interesting. I can't see a world where Jacksonville doesn't get a rebound win here. But at the same time, like I said, these AFC South matchups, it doesn't matter which of the 4 teams are playing each other. I just feel like it's always an interesting game. You might not want to watch it. It might not be fun. It might be ugly, but it's always interesting to say the least. And so I like this one to be a close one. The point spread on it as of right now is Jacksonville -8. And I think if the Texans lose by 8 in this game, that's not a bad loss. So I'm good with that, and we'll move on to the next one. One of their AFC South partners are heading to Baltimore. The Indianapolis Colts fly to Baltimore, their former home, to take on the Baltimore Ravens.
Interestingly enough, the starting of Gardner Minshew in this game makes it a little bit more interesting for me. Gardner Minshew offers a little bit more quality in the passing game right now. I think that gives Indianapolis not an edge in this game, but gives them an opportunity to make it a little different than what it may have played out to be before. I would have easily, wholeheartedly taken the Ravens against the Colts, with Richardson, but I had to think about it with Gardner Minshew because of the quality of play that he's going to bring. I'm still big on Baltimore winning this division. I'm still big on Baltimore as being quote unquote back. I love the way Lamar's playing football right now. Give me the Ravens at home.
I was looking at the injury report that come out this morning, and this is just like a Baltimore curse, but they have their center, Tyler Linderbaum, out, their offensive tackle, Ronnie Stanley, out, OBJ's out, their backup running back, Justice Hill, is out, Marlon Humphrey is out, Marcus Williams is out, and another linebacker. They're plagued with injury right now. They still have Gus Edwards in the run game, and they've got plenty of offensive weapons to throw the ball to. If half of those guys weren't on this injury report, I would say, give me Baltimore by a mile. But I think with the key offensive line injuries. I think that will lead to a couple more mistakes, a couple more pluses for the Colts pass rush. I like Baltimore in this matchup, so I'm going to stick with the home team. With the injury report coming out today of all the listed out players, I expect this to be a closer game than one would think. All right, the next game we got on the list is the Tank Bowl, the battle of the 0-2 teams. We've got the Chargers heading to the Banks to take on the Vikings.
Man, do you feel somebody's seat getting warm? I mean, honestly, talked about this a little bit before the video today. I think Brandon Staley's on the hot seat. I think the 0-2 start is not set well with a lot of people. That team's defense, which he's supposed to be making better, is struggling. If you take a struggling defense into Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, you're probably not going to come out of there happy. Give me the Vikings at home just to be the Vikings.
Both of these quarterbacks are playing very admirable football through 2 weeks. The first game, the Chargers lost in a shootout to Miami, but right now, like I said, Miami is just a tough team to beat. In week 2, they lost an overtime game to the Titans. The Vikings lost in an embarrassing fashion to the Buccaneers in week 1, and then a tough matchup against the Eagles in week 2, which Kirk Cousins played out of his mind. But something is telling me I need to take the Chargers here, even in a shootout with no run game. I don't know what it is, and this is one of them I'm not going to be able to explain, but I'm going to take the Chargers on the road.
Man, I think that's pretty ballsy. I got to give you credit for going there. I know why you're doing it. I think the Chargers as a whole are probably a better team. Minnesota's supposed to be in a rebound. I just don't have the warm and fuzzies about the Chargers yet. They haven't seemed to hit their stride.
Well, both these teams are 0-2, so I don't have the warm and fuzzies about either of them. With that being said, I'm glad we defer on a couple of them. Every now and then it makes it interesting. The next game we've got, oh man, is an AFC East matchup. We've got the 0-2 New England Patriots heading to their second home to take on the Jets with Zach Wilson.
Watch this. New England has owned Zach Wilson. New England has failed me twice in a row this year already. But I cannot and will not stop picking them just because they've lost the first 2. I don't think I can remember a season where Belichick's went 0-3. I don't think it starts right now. Zach Wilson is not going to get the dub in this game, but I bet it's a good game. Give me the Patriots.
It's been like a 15-16 game win streak of Bill Belichick versus the Jets. And I learned my lesson last year about messing with that. But
did you learn your lesson?
I'm going to do it. The defense is both playing out of their minds in these games. Zach Wilson, I don't care what anybody says about that Cowboys game. He showed growth, and that's all that matters. And I think they know with New England coming to town, they have to run the football, so they're not going to ignore their running backs like they did against the Cowboys. But I'm going to take the Jets at home to make a statement that things are going to be okay for the New York teams, and they're going to do it. They're going to win. They're going to shut down Mac Jones. But that Patriots defense is probably going to have a day as well. This is going to be a real low-scoring affair. I don't know if anyone sees the end zone. One of their meetups last year ended up kick return touchdown is how the game ended. I'm going to take the home team here. It feels like the right thing to do. I got to show some support to Zach wherever I can. It's my turn to get burned by the Patriots after I let you do it 2 weeks in a row. And I feel good about this one.
Right on. I like it.
All right. Where are we at next?
The New Orleans Saints travel north to take on the Green Bay Packers.
That's a Packers home opener.
Packers home opener. They started out with 2 on the road.
Yeah, this one's there's a lot of things to talk about here. The Saints coming off an ugly win they started figuring it out in the second half, but it was just an ugly game against the Panthers on Monday Night Football. What they did lose Jamal Williams and will not have Alvin Kamara until the following week after his suspension is up. And the Packers, lose a close one to the Falcons, where at the end of the game, I think all cylinders stopped, or they forgot how to play football. Hopefully, their offensive tackles will be back for this one, be back at home. David Bakhtiari, Nelton Jenkins, I know that was a big part of it. And also, a big part of their loss to Atlanta was Bijan Robinson put up over 115 yards on the ground on them, and as well as Desmond Ridder putting up a good number of yards on the ground as well. That's not Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not going to run around. He's not going to leave the pocket unless he's being chased, but still he's going to throw the ball, whether it's away or to a receiver. You're not going to see him taking off very often. But with that, they're hurting in the run game. I like the odds with the Packers at home. They got to put on a show for their home crowd. No Jamal Williams. I know for a fact Jamal Williams would have sliced this team up if he played. He's played against them plenty of times before. I knew it was coming. I would have picked the Saints if he had been active for this game, but I don't think he will be. So I'm going to take the Packers at home, and the Jordan Love era continues.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Jordan Love at home looks like the good bet here. Like I said, I'm not a huge Derek Carr guy. Derek Carr does not play that well on the road. Just barely getting by Carolina last week. I don't know. It seems like they should be a better team than that with all the veterans that are on that team, good defense and everything, and still they struggled. This Packers team is playing above my expectations that I thought they would be. And that's because the quarterback has played excellent both games. Give me Jordan Love in his home opener.
Yeah, I think the Saints defense will be a factor, though. Like, I don't think he's just going to go run on them like he did the Bears. But
No. He's not going to throw for 350 yards and run for another 70 or 80. He's going to have to earn this game. That defense is solid. I just think that right now that offense is going to be a little bit more solid than New Orleans.
Yeah, I think the loss of the run game really hurts a team no matter who you are. So I feel comfortable taking the Packers, but I do feel as if this is going to be a close game. The next one, our last 1:00 game of week 3, I already know for a fact we're going to give different answers for this game. We've got the Titans heading to Cleveland to take on the Browns. I'll let you have the floor because I already know whatever you say, it's going to be the opposite of what I say.
Gosh. See, because now I'm sitting here uncertain because I'm sitting here looking at this and what I originally picked this week, and I guess I'm going to stick to my guns on what I originally picked so I don't have to change it.
I mean, you can change it if you want. That's what we're doing right here.
I know it's tough, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to side with the home team, and I'm going to side with the team that's playing pretty dang good defense regardless of what happens on the offensive side of the ball. Give me Cleveland at home. Myles Garrett is going to eat Ryan Tannehill. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to get off on the ground, and I don't think Tennessee can pass to win this game. Deshaun Watson is mobile enough to where if he gets outside of the pocket, he's got receivers that he can hit. No Nick Chubb. Not really necessarily worried about that. That offense seemed to do just not better, but seemed to function without him. I'll take the Brownies at home, and I hate to do it.
I really believed you were going to go all in on the Titans here. That's the only reason I had my whole big spiel about I know we're going to make different picks because I believed you were going all in on the Titans for this one. But with that being said, I'm going to take the Browns at home. Deshaun Watson's played a little bit better for Cleveland at home than he has on the road in his short tenure with them so far. The defense, both defensive fronts are really good. I like the Cleveland's better. They brought Kareem Hunt back in the building, a running back already familiar with the offense, who with him, Jerome Ford. Between those three guys, they're going to get something going in the run game. And I like Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and David Njoku and David Bell, that's his name. Yeah, all these guys they've got. Watson can get them the football. I do think the Titans will be able to move the ball in the air, and there's no completely stopping Derrick Henry. I mean, it's happened, but it's not likely after coming off a massive game last week against the Chargers. I think this is going to be an ugly game, kind of like our Monday Night Football with the Steelers. It's going to be ugly, low scoring, but I like the Browns to bounce back here at home. Man, I really thought you were going to go all in on the Titans. I just believed it because I can make a case for the Titans in this game easily.
Me too.
But whatever, man. If they lose, we both get burnt, so it's not a loss for me.
There you go.
On to our first 4:00 game. We've got a kind of interesting matchup due to injuries and movement in the roster. We've got the Panthers heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, but no Bryce Young. We've got one Andy Dalton under the helm.
The Red Rocket will play better than Bryce has been playing. This Panthers team is full of talent offensively and defensively, but going on the road to Seattle with a backup quarterback, regardless of who it is, even with your starting quarterback being intact, is a tall task. Kudos to the Rams in week one for doing such a good job in Seattle. I don't think Pete Carroll was expecting them to come out and be as talented as they were and play as hard. But I think that in week two, Seattle went on the road and redeemed themselves. And I think they're going to continue that trend at home. Give me Gino and the boys to beat Andy, the Red Rocket, and the other kiddies that he's played for.
Oh, man, I don't like this game because something tells me in my gut that the Panthers are going to pull this upset off, but I'm going to take the Seahawks at home. The Lions defense they face were a little bit more busted up than this Panthers defense, so I think they're going to give them some trouble, but there's just too much firepower on that offense as long as they get off to a good start and don't have to play from behind. I like this chances for Seattle, so I'm going to go with you and take the Seahawks as well, but I'd like to see the Panthers get this dub.
Me too. I love the Red Rocket.
Next game we got on the slate, we've got the Chicago Bears heading to Kansas City to take on my Chiefs.
Gosh, this is the game that I get to broadcast on Sunday, so I'm kind of fired up about it. But you know what? I really look for Justin Fields to perform decently in this game. I don't think their offense is going to score points, but I look for him to look a little bit more mature. I think he's at the end of his rope. I think they're just about a hair away from being done with him, honestly. I think he's going to play better. I don't think they're going to be that competitive in this game. Kansas City has to get their offense going. They put up 17 points in Jacksonville on the road, and that was enough to win that game. But that's not enough to win most games. They need to play a little bit better. I think they will do so. But, man, it might be the beginning. Here's the problem that I got with the Bears. Eberflus is calling the plays. They let go of the defensive coordinator. When your head coach is calling defensive plays, he's not there for the offense as a head coach. And I feel like that's going to be a burden. I just love the Chiefs in this matchup at home. It may be a 20-point blowout. It really could be. But I don't think it's going to be quite 20, but it's going to be up there. Give me the Chiefs at home.
Listen, I'm never going to pick against my Chiefs unless I feel it's absolutely necessary, but the only statistic I'm going to throw out right here is the Chiefs defense is allowed 15 points per game over 2, and the Bears have allowed 32.5 points per game over 2 games. And so that's enough for me to say, give me the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes still petty while playing against the Bears because they drafted Mitch Trubisky over him. I've got nothing else to say. They're going to get right this week and, figure things out on offense even more.
Dak and the boys head to Arizona. What say you?
I don't like how you worded any of that, but this game screams trap game for this defense. It's been lights out the last 2 weeks. They did lose Trayvon Diggs for the year. That is a blow. I know some people won't say so. It is. I'm going to take the Cowboys because it's the right thing to do. But I like to see the Cards make some progression in this game. I think they'll score more points than the Giants did, and that's about all I've got to say about this one.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm so sad to see Trayvon Diggs out. I love watching defenses that play well together, that perform well, that up to the task. Dan Quinn is an absolute stud at DC, and I admire the fact that he stayed and stuck it out in Dallas, even though he had head coach offers. I love the dude. I think he's the heir apparent. Uh, when the Cowboys need a head coach again, if they ever let go of McCarthy, I think he's going to be a Cowboy for life. But I don't see Arizona having anything to compete with in this game. Pride at home, they might be able to stay in it. They've played admirable football thus far. I love the one thing I'll give them in this game is Jonathan Gannon did a fairly decent job as DC for the Eagles against the Cowboys, but that's about the only notch they got. Give me the Dallas Cowboys on the road.
Next up, we got is a Sunday night. I don't know what to call this. We've got the Steelers heading to Vegas to take on the Raiders. I feel like we might defer on this one too, so I'll let you have the floor.
Man, so I really don't know what to do. Pittsburgh defense was okay against a mediocre Cleveland offense. Jimmy Garoppolo, Devontae Adams, they've got all the pieces to win at home. But I really think that Pittsburgh is game. They're game for that. They're game to go in there and play good. I can't honestly take Pittsburgh on the road in this one. Give me the Raiders at home.
I don't know who you are, man. I don't know who you are. I was sold you were going Pittsburgh on this one as well. Listen, both these teams have crap run games right now, but I feel like Josh Jacobs, if he truly wants out, he's going to show up and show out. He's going to start showing out because we know what he's capable of. I think that starts here. They're going to depend on this run game against a very tough defensive line, and we saw on Sunday night Pittsburgh struggles running the football. I like the Raiders odds here. The Steelers do have guys like Pickens and Freiermuth and guys that can catch passes, but I like the receiving core a little bit better in Vegas. And also, if we're going Kenny Pickett versus Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G knows how to win a little bit more than Kenny Pickett does. He's still got a lot of room to grow. Give me the Raiders. I can't believe you took the Raiders too.
I think the Raiders for one reason, and really fast before we move on, but Nick Chubb was slicing up the Pittsburgh defense when he was in that game. Cleveland was on their way to winning that game because of Nick Chubb. I think Josh Jacobs is probably now, since Nick Chubb is out, the best runner left in the NFL, and I think he's going to have his way with that defense.
Our first of two Monday Night Football games, a very, very interesting matchup. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles heading down south to take on the Baker Mayfield 2-0 led Buccaneers.
This Tampa Bay team has played flipping out of their minds the last couple of weeks. They're functioning together as a unit. Offense and defense has got good continuity. Todd Bowles has done his job and got Baker Mayfield comfortable and where he's not a media distraction for the team. He's just a football player. He learned to shut the F up, play some ball, and they're going to be at home wanting some serious revenge against this Philadelphia Eagles team that, I don't care what anybody says, out talents, is out coached, is everything. There's no reason to even argue this. Give me the Eagles on the road.
It's really easy for me to take the Eagles here, but something in my gut is telling me to take this Buccaneers team and let them start 3-0 over the Eagles. Something is telling me it's gonna happen, but my stomach hurts. I don't like Baker Mayfield, but I respect what he's doing this season with the Buccaneers. I'd rather get burnt by picking the Eagles and being wrong. So I'm going to take Philadelphia as well. Oh, but I feel like the Bucs have got something to prove, and I think the Eagles feel like they're going to go down south and smack some people on national TV, and I just don't know that that's the case. The Vikings put up a heroic comeback against the Eagles, and the Buccaneers beat the crap out of the Vikings. So, you know what? I'm just going to do it because I'll feel terrible if they win and I didn't pick them. I'm going to take the Bucks, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, it's not a bad pick, honestly. I think it's going to be a coin flip type of game.
It's going to be an electric game, honestly. I don't know if the Bucks can score enough points, but if their defense can play well enough, they might not have to. All right, our final game of the week, probably the hardest one for me to pick. I'm going to be completely honest. We've got our Super Bowl rematch, the LA Rams heading down to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. How are you feeling about this?
Awful. This is going to be the biggest mistake that Zach Taylor makes as a head coach. All things are pointing to Joe Burrow trying to play Monday night. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake that's going to cost them not only today, might cost them 8 weeks of this season, maybe longer, because he's going to end up having to sit. He's completed 59% of his passes through the first 2 weeks of the season, well below his average. You can't tell me his being injured, or you can't tell me he's not injured playing like that. And he tweaked it this week, so now he's even more injured than he was. This Rams defense is no joke. Aaron Donald is a team captain out there. I think Zach Taylor's making the biggest mistake that he can possibly make. If Jake Browning is not starting this game Monday night, I'm basically about ready to give up for the season because I feel like it's going to be costly in the long run. He should have set the first 4 weeks. Everybody knows it. They should have put him on IR and let Will Greer come in and be a backup and let Jake Browning play. They lost the first 2 games because he wasn't himself. But I'm stupid. I'm ignorant, and I'm not picking against my team. They're going to come together and find a way to win at home.
Oh, I want to believe in them so bad. They've got the team to believe in, right? You know, they're like the Chargers, but they're better. They're the team to believe in. But that's 2 teams, and I hate their head coaches, and I've hated their head coaches since the moment they walked into the building. I hate to do this for a 3rd week in a row, but it's worked out for me for 2 of them. I'm going to defer, and I'm going to take the Rams. But it's almost sad at this point, and so I'm rooting for the Bengals to bounce back, at least score 24 points in this game, and you have a shot, right? Like, no matter who ends up being at the helm, they did sign another QB today with them losing Greer to the Patriots. They should have activated him as soon as they possibly could, but now he is under Bill Belichick's command, so I think they've made a lot of mistakes this season, and maybe this is the lesson they need to learn the hard way. I don't want it to be, but I hope they win. I hope they bounce back. I hope, maybe Burrow is feeling better, and maybe he didn't actually retweak it. Maybe it just never went away, and he's still in the healing process. I'm trying to find optimism in this situation, but I'm going to take the Rams on the road. And I think this is like the telling point of the Rams for the rest of their season to me is, can they get it done over a struggling opponent? Because if the Bengals do come back and win, I have a lot of question marks about this Rams team as well. So I think the better team is Cincinnati by a mile, but I'm going to take the Rams and just hope I'm wrong, because at this point I don't know.
I watched Joe Burrow throw the ball today in practice. He looked okay. I made sure as soon as that video was posted on the website that I went and looked at it today just to see how he's pushing off. But that's his push-off foot, his leg. And you can tell that he doesn't have the strength. That ball that was intercepted against Baltimore against T. Higgins was not a ball that he would normally throw like that.
No, I don't think so.
It looked like Andy Dalton out there throwing it in 2015 because he didn't have a very strong arm. I'm really concerned for the well-being of the future of the team right now. I think Zach Taylor's making some poor decisions. The only thing I can say going forward is that if they do anything this week, and I'm going to leave my day on this, let Joe Mixon run the ball, throw screens to Joe Mixon, use your running game to try to gain some kind of control of this, and then take shots down the field sparingly. Take Joe out of the equation. Please don't get him killed. Please don't get him killed. And I'm done.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. That's all we have for today. We need to get out of here so we can get this edited and get it to you as soon as possible. But thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new. We do this every single week along with streaming every primetime game as long as everything is good and a couple other games along the way. We do weekly recaps. We like to hang out and meet all of you guys. So we appreciate you for watching. Like I said, I'm Alex. This is Papa Blood. We are It's in the Blood. And we will see you guys on the next one.
CBS Sports Line. It's in the description. Sign up for the Pick'em Challenge. We're out.
Bro can't do an intro or an outro.
Ah.